Oh, shit, Heat fans. Here we go again. The latest rumors surrounding the Miami Heat that they are interested in a Donovan Mitchell trade. I cannot believe it. Oh, wait a minute. Yes, I can. By the way, fun fact, the first ever Heat Report video that we put out featured this to start off the show. How full circle is that? But let's get into Donovan Mitchell because, listen, the Heat have been linked to D Mitch for the past, I don't know, 3 or 4 seasons, it feels like. And now that he could potentially be hitting the trade market once again, as it is reported that he is not going to sign a long term extension with the Cleveland Cavaliers, could he be moved this season or in the offseason? And could he be on the Heat come 2024 or hell, come playoff time this season? We'll dive into it, but this is why you subscribe, because we cover all of the latest Miami Heat trade rumors on top of going live multiple times a week for watch parties. We were live for that unfortunate defeat last evening against the Minnesota Timberwolves. We'll be live again tomorrow against the Orlando Magic. Hit that sub button. Let's get to 6,700 subscribers on today's video. I think we can. It's only 16 people joined the channel today. All right, here we do go again because the Heat reported to have interest in Donovan, and I think this actually feels real this time. This was all started by an NBA insider, by the name of Brian Windhorst. Let's check out what he had to say. He mentioned that the Knicks and Nets are the two teams where Donovan Mitchell could sign a long-term extension if traded to. If they got into a bidding war, it would be interesting via trade. But Tim McMahon jumped in on the podcast and said, "What about Miami?" And then Windhorst responded, "Yes, of course the Heat. And of course Miami is going to want Donovan Mitchell. This guy's still 25, 26, just entering his prime, and he's someone that averages 27 plus a night while also having some success in the postseason in his career. Sure, he had some struggles against the Mavericks in the playoffs just 3 or 4 years ago, and he wasn't that good either against the Knicks this past postseason. But Mitchell is one of the most dynamic scorers that we have in our NBA. He can get to the rim. He can get to the mid-range. He can knock down 30-footers from beyond the arc. He stretches the defense, and he will cause the opposing defense to focus in on him, which would allow other players such as Jimmy and Bam to potentially get more one-on-one looks and obviously just create a better flow on offense for Miami. We'll talk more about Donovan Mitchell in a second, but what say you? Do you want to trade for Donovan Mitchell? I am going to make this the pinned comment on today's video, so get your answers down below in the comment section, and if a YouTube ad hits you, we'll let it play and get your votes in down below. I feel like this is a time where it feels real for Miami to potentially require Donovan Mitchell because Darius Garland and Evan Mobley are going to be out for an extended period of time. The Cavs currently hold the same record as the Heat at 15-12, but if they struggle over the next month and a half in all of December and January, and then we get to the trade deadline and the Cavs are sitting at like the 10th spot in the Eastern Conference because Garland and Mobley has been out, well, what says the Cleveland Cavaliers wouldn't look to trade Mitchell now rather than waiting into the postseason or in the offseason? Because think about it. If the Knicks and Heat all want to win a championship and you want to get the best package if you're Cleveland, well, those two might be desperate to trade for Mitchell this year at the deadline rather than waiting in the offseason, which means Cleveland might get a better package. I mean, Mitchell in 22 games this season has just been downright phenomenal, like always. 27.7 a night, 5 rebounds, 5 assists, shooting 45 from the field. A little bit down on the three-point shooting. That would be the lowest percentage over the last 5 seasons for Mr. Mitchell, but he's still one of the most consistent scorers in our NBA. You just see it on screen. Ever going back to his days at Utah, and then obviously with Cleveland, he has hit the ground running in the association ever since drafted in the lottery out of Louisville. I mean, he's a consistent 25 per game scorer, while also being semi-efficient. I will say he does require a little bit of a volume to get his scoring numbers up, but there is no doubting that he is one of the top scorers. And when you think about what he can do when breaking down a defense, Mitchell's among one of the best isolation scorers in the NBA. And as I alluded to a little bit earlier in the video, it goes beyond just the stats, right? The numbers don't tell the full story, because how many times does Donovan Mitchell drive by his defender, get a couple guys to collapse inside, and then he kicks it out either for a shot or kicks it out, gets the defense in rotation, and then an extra pass occurs, and you have a wide open three-point shooter. I mean, Mitchell can play the one or the two. He's undersized, and that's why I honestly think, I don't know if it will work out long-term in Cleveland, by the way, because when you have two undersized guards like Garland and Mitchell, I don't know if you can succeed, which is also why, even though the Knicks have been rumored to want Donovan Mitchell, D Mitch would welcome and move to New York. I don't see the Knicks as much of a fit either, because do you really think you're going to be able to win in the NBA when your starting backcourt does all of the offense for you and they're both under 6'3"? That's a little bit dicey in my opinion. We'll talk more about the fit with Miami and what a potential trade will look like in a second, but I got to show some love to PrizePicks, because this holiday season, you can get a first deposit match up to $100. When you head to prizepicks.com/CLNS, you can pick 2 to 6 player stat projections, pick more than or less than, and watch the winnings roll in. They're also doing something really cool this holiday season called Merry Picksmas, where on a daily basis they will offer you a deal. Today's deal is some Taco Tuesday action, where they lower some of the stat projections and totals for players. John Morant's back. Yeah, those 25 games are up, and they lowered his points for tonight to 20.5. I'll take them more than on that, and I'll also take them more than on our old friend Damian Lillard, 27.5 points going against the Spurs. You could take my picks. You could also take picks from rapper Meek Mill, comedian Andrew Schultz. I mean, those guys play PrizePicks every day, so you should too. Get that first deposit match up to $100 when you go to prizepicks.com/CLNS and to use code CLNS. That link and promo code will be in the comments and description of today's video. All right, let's look at what a potential Heat trade package for Donovan Mitchell would look like. And ironically enough, it wouldn't be that difficult to match salary. That's always the biggest question when you're trading for a star, because those guys get paid a lot of money. We talked about Pascal Siakam's trade value a week ago. We also talked about when Damian Lillard in the offseason, matching salary is half the battle. Good news for Miami and potentially other suitors. D Mitch is in the middle of a 3-year deal. He's got 3 years left, I think, with a player option after next season. And he's only getting paid $33 million. That's pretty good. So you don't have to give up that much in salary terms. So I think to match salary and to get picks, the Heat would offer Tyler Herro, Nikola Jovic, Caleb Martin, 2 unprotected first-round picks. Unfortunately, you can't offer 3, which would be necessary. Now, maybe you can somehow lift the protections off the 25 first-round pick that you have sent to Oklahoma City. If you're able to do that, maybe you then unlock 25, 27, and 29. Now, that would make your trade package a lot more enticing for Cleveland. And the Heat get Donovan Mitchell, and to make sure salary matches, Ty Jerome, the former Virginia Cavalier, one of my favorite college players of all time, by the way. He won me some money winning that national championship. Maybe he could be the backup point guard in Miami instead of Josh Richardson. And I know a lot of you guys are going to go in the comments section and say, Tyler Herro, why are we trading Tyler? As good as Tyler has been, there is a short list of stars inside the NBA that if they became available on the trade market, I would be willing to move Tyler for. Donovan Mitchell absolutely makes that list for me. And yes, Herro has been really good this season. And these numbers would be a lot higher if it wasn't for the game that he left against the Grizzlies. So he's really played in about 8.5 games. And if you do look at that 8.5 game stretch, it would be about 25 plus points per game. The rebounds and assist numbers would only stay about a little bit more than what they at. And the 3-point percentage, by the way, kind of a fluke because he's played in such little games. The 1-for-6 game he had last night against Minnesota brought his 41% on the year down to 38.8. The field goal percentage was a little up after a good performance, 10 of 18 yesterday. But Herro's really good, right? But my thing is, will he ever surpass what Donovan Mitchell is right now. We'll talk about that in a second. But let me know, would you accept this trade? Would you send this over to Cleveland and trying to acquire Donovan Mitchell? Type A for accept, type D for decline. Why do I pull the trigger? Well, I love Tyler Herro. But to be honest, what his peak is Donovan Mitchell. I mean, I love Herro, but is he ever going to be a 30-point-per-game scorer in the NBA? Probably not. Is he ever going to have the athleticism to threaten the defense at the rim instead of just hitting floaters, which, by the way, Tyler's very good at, but get to the rim, finish amongst the trees, finish on top of guys, collapse the defense? He does a little bit, but he's not able to do it in the consistency that Donovan Mitchell does. And then when you look at Nikola Jovic, I was the leader of the Jovic fan club this offseason, but he's not getting PT. So if you're going to try to trade for Donovan Mitchell this season at February's deadline and try to go win a title this year, I think Jovic has to be included in the deal because of what he has from an upside factor. Maybe he gets a little bit of intrigue from Cleveland, and they could go back to running a 3-big lineup where you have Jovic maybe playing the 3, Mobley at the 4, and then Jared Allen at the 5 if Jovic was able to work out. And then I love Caleb Martin as well, but I would move Martin before he hits free agency because he has a player option going into this offseason. He is going to opt out of that contract. He's only paid $7 million, so he will absolutely try to cash in on the bag. So you give up those 3 assets plus a couple first-round picks for Donovan Mitchell, who would probably stay long-term in Miami because he's best friends with Bam Adebayo, and he loves the city of Miami. He always trains down there in the offseason with Bam. So I think those two could be the future for the Miami Heat. And then in the short term, you have D Mitch, Jimmy, Bam. And then when Jimmy retires, you hopefully have Jaime Jaquez Jr. fill those steps. And to be honest, I would assume that in a potential negotiation, Cleveland would want Jaime Jaquez Jr., which that's a different story for a different day if I'd be willing to include him in a deal for Donovan Mitchell alongside Herro and Jovic because they weren't willing to do that for Damian Lillard. But I'm sure Cleveland would really want Jaquez, and it would be up to Pat Riley to go through the motions of, do I trade the 3 young guys for Mr. Mitchell? That'll do it for today's video. If you want more trade rumors, you want more Heat content, make sure you subscribe to us here at the Heat Report. Daily content, whether it be watch parties or trade rumor videos like the one you see today. Join us here at youtube.com/@HeatReport. I'm Nic Rohloff. I'll see you on the next one. Go Heat.